Hey everybody, Alberg here with the Doggy Style Podcast, episode 49. Today is June 14th, 5 p.m. I'm somewhere near Times Square and still behind on my goal, so I'm walking. Um, so I've reached a point with my weight where I've kind of gotten stuck at a certain weight, and that weight is trying to get below 169 pounds. So today, I decided to not only walk twice, which is 2 hours of walking, but I also decided to juggle. So juggling is from 12 to 1 in Bryant Park. And if you ever want to meet me, you're certainly welcome to stop by there. I'm not always there. I don't know when I'll be there, but if you want to learn to juggle, it's a great place to learn. So, yeah, so I trying to get some extra stuff in just to catch up to my weight goal. So today, two things went wrong in a really big way for me. Um, well, first of all, my boss sends me an email saying something's wrong with a report from, I think it was March. It's missing something, so I get really angry and I'm thinking he screwed up, and it turns out that I screwed up. So two bad things happened. Number one is a query, some SQL query I worked on had a bug in it. Um, and then the second thing I screwed up is that I was supposed to change the query to use a different set of tables, and I never did it. I thought I did it, but I never did it. So I screwed up two times. There was going to be a meeting today to discuss it. I sent him an email and I haven't heard back from him. So I'm a little worried. You know, you never know. I mean, the worst thing that can happen, it could go anywhere from getting fired, and the best would be, um, the boss says, people make mistakes, don't let it happen again. Let's fix this, let's figure out what went wrong, and create a process so it doesn't happen again. So that's where it stands. It was a little stressful. So I'm walking down a bad street to walk down. It looks like a lot of people are headed for the Port Authority. I can see it in front of me. I'm right by a theater that's playing Pretty Woman, the musical. So yeah, so it was a little stressful day. At least it's Thursday. Happy Friday Eve to everybody. So let me go through see if I have anything on my yellow list. So I'm still having a bug with my stand-up alarm. It just not getting it for some reason. I looked at the code. I recently changed the code, and one thing I'm thinking is that somehow, if the URL I'm sending isn't unique, I mean, if it's the same as a previous one, I have a feeling that the email process is not working, or I'm not getting it, or something's happening. So tonight I'm going to add some random character string to the end of the hyperlink, and hopefully that'll fix my issue. So that issue I had, it's I don't know, it's like a sign that I really do have to put my resume together, because I could get fired for something like that. You never know. Depends what the person thinks. Yeah, serious mistake, and even the data was sent out to external parties with the bad data on it. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, if we're going to have to reissue it. I don't know. But at least one cool thing is I have to get a sign off from a number of executives in my company, and I have a nice way. It's not 100. It's not perfect, but really good way to send the emails. You know, with less effort. I still have to. I basically press a button. I select the deck I'm working on. I press a button and it formats kind of the email. The only thing that I have to do right now manually is I have to attach two files. So I probably could use a better way of doing that. Yeah, so okay, so and then I was also thinking about pedestrian walkway that way. Jeez. Oh, fucking idiots. Sorry. I'm trying to get somewhere and I can't get through. Yeah, so then I was also thinking today about, wrote down a note about what I call base operations. And what a base operation is in terms of training, I got to start identifying cute little doggy walking. I got to identify what's the most basic operations that people have to know about. So one of the things I do a lot of is copy. So I copy files, very common, copying files. Another one is a yes/no prompt. So I need to catalog all of the base operations that are done and make sure people understand that. The one thing is that I have is the curse of knowledge, not cursive, curse of knowledge, which just means I know software so well, I've been doing it for so long, I don't even realize what people might not know. And so if I say the word SQL, I don't know what people identify with that. I should ask people generally, how many people know what SQL is? Interesting to get a sense of how many people. Like, I should just go on Twitter and ask, maybe set up a poll, but unfortunately I don't seem to get a lot of people doing these things. And also on Twitter, the fact that it's the word SQL's in it, people may get to it just by typing in SQL. So yeah, so that was just this basic day. Didn't automate much today. I was doing a lot of checking. Yeah, so I'm walking towards the west side right now, and the only bad thing is I can think of is that there's a lot of traffic here. I wonder if I'm gonna I might have a problem just getting by a tunnel. And while I'm here, I'm gonna try and find these, I think it was on 34th Street. There was a bunch of rocks I came across somewhere in Manhattan. It was just unusual. I could see down pretty far, but I don't think I'll be able to find them. I mean, I'd probably have to travel all over. So where am I? I'm on 41st. And I'm going to say 9th Avenue. I'm going with traffic. And of course, I'll find out if, oh, jeez, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. I just tripped over a kid. I didn't even see them. Okay, so I'm going to see if I could bring up, I wrote some notes. I didn't go through them. I thought an interesting podcast this morning. which was episode 48, where I talked about some things that a guy named Naval. Yeah. We're running across the street. So a guy named Naval, he's pretty famous, uh, had a nice tweet. He has pinned it to his Twitter account. I just went through what he was saying. Basically how to make money or how to be wealthy. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, so I'm gonna see if I could bring up, I wrote some notes today. I'm not finding it, but it's a little warm right now. This street is very interesting. I'm on 9th Avenue in the 40s. There's a lot, I kind of like it. There's something about it. A lot of stores. I get a good feeling over here. Versus other places where it just has that bad feng shui. Trying to get my list. Looks like another guy with an electric scooter. This one, it was a three-wheeler. There's a lot of, oh no, he's actually pushing it. Take it back. Looked like he was, okay, so my list finally came up. So I wrote some notes on the train. I didn't talk about it because I did this Naval podcast this morning. So one good thing about today, and it's always good to celebrate positive things, and that's another good reason to have kind of daily goals. I mean, if your goals are really far out, few and far between times to celebrate. So I'm going to celebrate that my weight is below 170 today. It's still behind my goal. But it's good. And I was going to talk about kind of hit a resistance point. If you're familiar with the stock market and what's called technical analysis, there's a whole study, a whole method of looking at stock prices and seeing where they're going to go. And there's a concept called resistance, and I'll put the graph of my weight in the show notes. But resistance is basically, I've hit this point, this weight, a few times and bounced back off of it, which means I've been having trouble getting below 169. Looks like an accident here. Oh, yeah, gotta run. Yeah, so it looks like the chatting is causing me to walk too slow, at least on the street. Okay, so yeah, so resistance is just I've hit this point three times, and because of the 3 times, I'm gonna take a picture of something. They're filming something called Still Life. So I hit this resistance 3 times, and it's been hard to pass it. So, aw, there's a cute dog here. Ooh. He's sitting in it. I could take a picture of him if I can. Oh, so I'm going to take a signed picture. He's a cutie. It's like a pit bull. Yeah, so I was just talking about my weight. So I have been unable to get past this, so today I decided to really make it a day that I break through here. Um, and so today I've walked. Walking twice, so that's 2 hours of walking, and I juggled during lunchtime. So a little extra, and then my eating. I'm gonna try to eat light, especially stay away from carbs. And just this is the process. I want to lose weight, and I've been having trouble. It's really been a struggle, I have to say. I know in the past it's been a little easier, but it just seems recently. Oh, I'm on 34th Street now. Maybe I'll just walk down 9th. Yeah, so it's been a struggle. And yeah, today on the train is funny. I was sitting there, and I'm in the quiet car, and there's a guy who's like sticking his knees in my space, kind of pissed me off. A little noisy too. Not a big deal. As I mentioned before that my stand-up alarm's not working. I had mentioned why. So, oh, I did do something. I built a stand-up alarm at work. Really kind of just started it. Needs some more work. There was some issues with it. Um, so funny. They're filming something in a really run-down spot. Kind of a. I wonder what they're filming. I guess that show that I saw. Look at a really run-down. I would call it a diner, like a luncheonette. And then I also wrote down to look internally for a job. So this should pass. Hopefully it doesn't cause a permanent damage. One real problem with this is that they hired a new guy, and one of the first things he sees is stuff that I did that doesn't work. So, I mean, I'm human. I write, I'm not perfect, but I can also say that um, I can also say that a coworker checked my work, he didn't find it, and then an executive at the company checked it and he didn't find it. So not alone, but I do need to learn from it. And just the lessons I guess I have is that I took the data ran, and it was kind of a special condition that this error dropped a record. Didn't usually happen. It seemed to be working in the past. So anyway, yeah, so looking for an internal job seems like something I should do. Wait, gotta run. And the and the other thing I wrote down is don't help the new guy. So he did ask me for some help. He said something about, can you send me a file? And I told him that I have a coworker, so instead of him bothering me, he works in another state with people I know. I said, oh, please ask the other guy. And so he said, oh, thanks. I said, if that guy can't help you, I'll be happy to help you. So, I mean, I don't need this guy bothering me for shit. Let him go to somebody else. So I decided also not to be so helpful. Now it may come back and bite me, but it's like a chance I'll take. So while I'm walking, I'm thinking, better off walking off the High Line right now, because it's still pretty hot outside, and I can at least be in the shade. Jeez. So just I made a list of some things I thought I could do during this podcast, and I think I mentioned it. So it's to do music, do it like a music, listen to music, and just talk, chat about stuff, make some commentary. So it's a little complicated. It just didn't seem to work. I think I had the right wires, but I wasn't able to do it this morning. Um, I guess a better phone I'd be able to do it where I could play music on the phone. I've heard people do that, where they're playing music. Hmm. Okay, this looks like I'm going to walk. There's a tunnel here. I'm going to walk down it. It kind of reminds me of where I saw those rocks. So who knows? Maybe this is it. Another thing to do during these podcasts is to proofread my book. I could actually just read the chapters and identify things that don't sound right. I can go through books I've written. I think I have 3 or 4 books. So last night I wanted to work on my resume for an hour, but I was just exhausted. And then I have another thing which I call, what can Excel do failure? I've been wanting to document what Excel can do, but just haven't been able to. I just really been tired. So I was thinking, could I do it? Could I talk about what Excel can do during the walk? So without any visual, very low visual cues, because I just have a phone, would I be able to do it? So I guess the first thing, and I took some notes, I'm cheating a little bit, is that if you want to learn Excel VBA, VBA, you might not know what that is. VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications, and it's a programming language. So in Excel, it's kind of hidden that it comes with this programming language. So if Excel is a tool you like, and you learn to use VBA, you'll love it. I mean, it just does so much. So without VBA, I'm going to say you can only do 20% of the things you need to do or can do with Excel. If you do know VBA, you get the 100%. So 80% of Excel's power, I think, comes from VBA. It's also known as macros. So if you heard any of those terms, that's what they mean. So one of the things you need to do is, if you want to use VBA, you have to do what's called turn on the developer ribbon. So I don't know that I can tell you how to do it off the top of my head, and different versions have different ways, but if you Google turn on developer ribbon, you might find a video of mine on that. There's just some basic settings, and you just click it yes, and you'll see something on the ribbon, you'll see another tab that says developer. Oh, Jesus Christ. The fuck? Some guy just missed somebody. Fucking asshole. Yeah, kind of a nice looking place. So we're by the High Line. I have never seen the High Line from this angle. I'm kind of below it. So once you set up the ribbon, you need to know how to switch between Excel and what's called the VBE, or the Visual Basic Editor. So there's a separate kind of window called the VBE, and one way to get to it is through the Developer tab. You could find where it says Visual Basic, and the other way is you could just press, I think it's Alt F11. It's kind of funny that I don't remember, partially because I don't have my computer. It's just you don't even think about it in a lot of cases. So there's really 4 windows in the Visual Basic Editor. So one is you have a code window where you type in, as your programming code goes. Then there's also something called an immediate window, and that's pretty cool because you can type in um, commands there and see how they work. I mean, not everything can be done in the immediate window, but uh, you could say type in, if you could go to the immediate window, you could say print cells 3 comma 1, parentheses around that, and it'll print out the contents of that. And then there's also a properties window that tells you what the settings are for a different, for like your buttons or things. And then there's also the Project Explorer, it might be called. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it shows you all the sheets. It shows you all the sheets. There's something going on here. And another thing they're filming called the kitchen. I'll take a picture of that. You always wonder, so one problem you have is that you never know that whatever they're filming here might be really famous. So like say if some famous movie was being filmed somewhere over here where I am right now, it'd be cool to have the sign for that movie, but you just never know. Yeah, it's interesting looking at the High Line from the ground floor. I mean, I've been on it a lot. It's kind of boring up there. So that was just a small little snippet of what I was thinking of doing. And I was going to talk about how to remove spaces from, you get an Excel file, and sometimes you'll have numbers and they'll have spaces in it. And because of that, you can't easily do a VLOOKUP. Now, I'm not sure this works, but you might be able to just add, like put a formula in next to it. I'm gonna have to check this and do the cell with the spaces plus 0, and that could convert it to a number, and then you could just copy it as values, copy paste it as values, and then you'll be in good shape. You'll get your numbers out of it. So I was going to show another way to do it, but that might be the better way. And then there's something called the macro recorder, which I'd have to show. It's very difficult to just talk about these things. But Excel VBA has something called a macro recorder. And what that is that whatever you do in Excel, so say you click a sheet, type in some numbers, paint the cell blue, go to another sheet. One of the things that the macro recorder does, wait, gotta run. One of the things the macro recorder does is it records every statement you do in a format that allows you to run that statement again. So it's pretty cool. Car wash over here. So I read some notes on the project my boss gave me, and basically I wrote boring, I don't give a fuck, I hate this guy. And he asked me, what are you going to do about this? And I told him about it, and it kind of were fighting about it. So, but in any case, oh, 23rd Street. It's a cute doggy. Boy, this drive is so bad. It's actually interesting seeing the High Line from, even the buildings. It's funny. The You didn't realize this, but the buildings that you see on the High Line, you enter from the ground floor. Some nice things where I am, a New York Burger Company, Don Giovanni Brick Oven Pizza. Then there's something else, looks like some sort of diner with a mural on the wall. If I get a picture of it. It's funny seeing this interesting as in perspective. There's a park over here that I never noticed on, well, I'm on 10th Avenue right now. And there's like a little park right here. Looks kind of cool. Yeah, there's a lot of nice spots over here, I have to say. So if you want to do something, and I'm on 10th Avenue and 22nd Street. So around here, a lot of outdoor cafes. I don't know how far the block goes. But you can't do, oh, looks like a bookstore over here too. But you can't really do it, in the summer it would be too hot, maybe at night. It's a little hot right now. It's funny, I went out with a friend, it seemed like a couple of months ago. So there's a bookstore right here. I don't know what the name of it has no name. I'll take a picture. Wait. And there's a really beautiful Church of the Guardian Angel. Wow, that's beautiful. I don't know why my finger keeps getting in there. Really beautiful stonework on it. Yes, I've been here. Well, I don't recall being down here, but it's interesting. Something has a certain nice feel to it. So I'm sure it wasn't this cool a couple of years ago. Okay, so I got that out of the way. Let me go through. I'm going to talk about a book today as a guy on an electric scooter goes by. Okay, so we're going to do some key principles for success. As I'm on 20th Street. Boy, it's bright out here. It's funny to, it is funny to see the High Line from this point of view. It really is. Because I've walked on it so many times, I never came down here. Okay, so we got item number 290, failure. I don't got much here. So one thing, I have something by a guy named Jeffrey Gitmer, and he calls it 19.5 characteristics of sales career failures. Probably search that. I don't know if I want to go through it. I don't know if he says this, but it's what I have written down is, you didn't fail, you learned something. That's a really, it's a really great idea. And there's a funny story of, there's a funny story of somebody at IBM. Somebody made a $300,000 mistake, and then the CEO was asked, "So did you fire the guy?" He said, "No, that was $300,000 worth of training. Why would I fire him?" So it's kind of interesting that when you do make mistakes, you kind of learn a lesson. So in theory, I would never miss this problem I had again. So let me just, I'm going to open up if I can get the Gittimer. I'll just go over like the top 5 that he has. No, it's not there anymore. Okay, so failure. So I do like, Scott Adams has a book called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. which is interesting. I mean, there is something about failing. Um, Doug Hall, the author, says if you haven't failed, you haven't risked anything. So failure means you took a risk. If you're not failing, in theory, you're not taking enough risks. So on 10th Avenue, it looks like the High Line curves over here. Oh yeah, so this is it's funny enough. This is where you overlook. I'll take a picture of. There's an overhang here, and I don't know if it's hard to see, but let's see if I could. I don't know if that'll come out. Just people sitting down, looking at the street go by. It looks like they're on TV. It's kind of funny. You get maybe a better picture here, not that much reflective. So it is amazing that they didn't take this down. Really, somebody was really smart. Yeah, so I was talking about failure. Yeah, it's an interesting. Nobody wants to fail yet. It is a good learning experience, and a key to success is being able to fail. So for example, if you want to meet somebody, you have to fail. I mean, you got to talk to people, and not everybody's going to like you. So if I wanted to be successful with a podcast, I might have to do this for years. I know I've heard people have very little, it's very low demand. And again, not that my stuff is so interesting, it probably isn't. But if it was, I still wouldn't have a lot of people listening. And also, there's just so many other things people could do than to listen to my talking about work. I mean, this is really for me. I'd be surprised if somebody listens to it, but it would be nice. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't like that. I do need some ways to make this more interesting, probably. So I'm by Chelsea Market now. If you haven't been, Chelsea Market's kind of cool. It's like right under the High Line. I do like the High Line. It's really cool from this from the angle I'm at, which is just on the street on 10th Avenue. It's funny how many times I've walked on it and no. Around. There's a nice park here. Dog-free lawn. So I'm on, where am I? 10th Avenue, I'm going to say, I can't really, 14. Okay, so on 10th Avenue and 14th Street. And here's the park. It's a little park, pretty cool. Doesn't seem to have a name, or it has a name and I don't see it. Okay, let me continue. So the next one is item number 803, and the number is meaningless. How am I going to get across? How am I going to get across this fucking street? Just looks like it'll be very hard. Oh, don't want to go now. Now, the next one, and again, I don't know where this came from, but it says, idea should have an uncapped upside if it works. Oh, Jesus. I don't know what just happened, but I stepped, and I didn't expect it to be such a long step. Oh, so I'm just on the other side of where I normally go in. Interesting. So you have an idea, and basically unlimited upside. That's a nice. The question is, what is that? What is that unlimited upside? I don't know. Kind of feel like walking, just keep walking along the west side as opposed to going up the Highline. I am getting bored of it. You know, like anything, you do the same thing over and over again, you get bored of it. So, one of the things to have fun is to do new things. I mean, it's like so easy to, but at the same time, somebody wrote deport Trump as graffiti. Okay, next one on number 200, and again, the numbers are just the meaningless, just from my own reference, really. Buy-sell decision. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Ooh, I got some stuff. So, it's funny how I wouldn't even know what I meant, but now I wrote it, so. I was holding some crappy stocks and my broker, oh, this is interesting. This is a financial idea, and I think this is in the book. So I was holding some crappy stocks and my broker made a mistake. He accidentally sold my holdings. So I had a lot of cash. The broker apologized and he asked if I wanted to get back the stocks at no cost. In other words, he would buy them back, wouldn't charge me a commission fee. Just because I own something that lost value, does it mean I have to hold on to it? Maybe the company, industry, or market cycle changed. Maybe a better investment has shown up. With any asset you own, holding it is the same as if you took cash and bought it today. Let me repeat that because it is so important. Let's assume you bought a stock at $100 and now it's worth $50. By holding it, you've basically bought it at $50. Now, if you had $50 instead of the stock, would you buy it today? That's the way you should look at assets you're holding. Some people call losses a paper loss if they don't sell, but there's no such thing, as you don't know if the asset will ever be worth your original purchase price. The same is true with friends, jobs, houses, spouses, books, cars, basically anything you own or are connected with. I was down a lot and thought about it. I decided not to repurchase. The losers I had. Now you may be in a similar situation. Oi, I'm gonna get hit by a car. The big truck in front of me. Oi, oh my God. Holy shit. Oi, kind of stuck here. Now you may be in a similar situation and wish your broker did the same thing, but you can always sell all of your holdings just as if your broker made a mistake. You always are making this choice when you hold onto something. It's as if you acquired it that day. With your current job, would you want to work there and do what you do? If you didn't know your current spouse and just met them, would you want to marry them? If you didn't know a current friend, would you want to be friends with them? You can use this idea for anything that you own and are not sure if you should keep it. You could ask the question another way. Would you buy something you own if you didn't own it? Oh, finally. Ooh, a big truck. Wow. It must be hard to drive that thing. So that was the buy-hold decision. So the whole point is that you could look at life as a series of purchases that just the fact that you own something is meaningless. When you own something doesn't mean you have to use it. You can throw it out. You can sell it. You know, with people people's harder, house is harder, but it's something to consider. Would I, like for example, would I? I would definitely take this job. It pays well. Um, if the choice was to not have another job. So there's an example. Okay, I'm at the beginning of the High Line. This is like the very beginning where it ends. This is actually another section of the High Line. And they built this museum here too. I think it's the Whitney. Kind of nice glass windows. Okay, so buy-sell decision. I thought that's, I kind of like that. I came up with that. And it was, the story's actually not true. But I've always thought that, if that happened, what would I do? So I'm now in the meatpacking district. It's kind of nice here. And if I want to walk on the High Line, I'm not really rushing to get anywhere. It's about 7 o'clock. So I guess I'll do it. It's kind of nice. And where'd the beer garden go? That's weird. Oh, I guess the beer garden's on the next block. Whew. I'm tired. Next one I have is fear. And I don't know what I'll be able to say about this, but it says natural selection. So I'm thinking that fear is evolutionary, and it has had a very useful purpose. So it used to be about survival. The fact that you're here today means your ancestors survived and weren't eaten by lions. I mean, they couldn't have been eaten by dinosaurs because the dinosaurs weren't around. So fear is natural. And one thing for sure, I'm almost 100% sure of this, that if you're afraid to do anything, you can overcome that fear. And it's just a matter of doing what you're afraid of. So if you're afraid to talk to strangers, talk to strangers. If you're afraid of getting hurt, I don't know what you could do about that. It's interesting, something going on at the Samsung store. Kind of rooftop party going on. A lot of people online. So this is a reason to, this is one of the things I say is I wish I had, not that I would go. Very noisy here, wow, it's weird. So noisy, wow. Nice building. Yeah, so, oh, now, I passed the Tesla deal. I didn't know where it was. Now I know where it is. It's right by the High Line. Here it is. It's on 14th Street. Actually, it's right by the beer garden, which from overhead. And there's the Tesla. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. Did a lot of walking today. Let me see how many steps I'm up to. So I'm at 580. It's not bad. I'll probably break about 18,000. Probably should get a drink of water. Yes, so I was talking about fear. Now the most fear is about, I guess, getting hurt or dying. So from that point of view, it's kind of built into us. So tell me if you have fears and you want to talk about them. Leave some comments. Let me see what I fear. I'm not a great public speaker, but I'm practicing. So um, I've done periscopes. I'm not bad as long as I have cues or something to talk about. And there's, notes. I have things on my phone I can talk through. Oh, great. So it looks, I don't know if I can get by. It looks like some sort of party or something. I guess we can go around the back. I'm going to guess it's some sort of party. So security notice. See what it says. I can't really see it. See, something's going on there. All persons. What does it say? Oh, so it's some sort of party. Mm-hmm. Some people have squirrel hats. It's kind of funny. Probably take pictures. Yeah, so I don't have much. I have some books on overcoming fears, but I haven't read them. Next one I have is use existing products as templates. So I've done this where you take a book cover and the colors and the font, and you kind of read it. It's a simple way to do. Oh, so they're giving. It looks like they're giving out hats. Bite. This smells good. Yeah, so use existing things as a template. Why? That's funny. Trump song. It's kind of funny. Okay, next one. I have obsessively seek feedback. So, folks, what do you think? What do you think so far? Good, crappy, sucky, great? Don't give up your day job? I don't know. It is a failing of mine. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback. So if you want to leave feedback, tear me apart, build me up, say whatever you want. I'd be happy to hear from you. Next one I have is key principles for success is social media, which is loading. So now we're up on the high line. No internet. But I'm paying. So the problem now is that everybody's on a leisurely stroll. I guess I could be on a leisurely stroll also. Yeah, so I was just trying to see what's under social media. Okay, here it goes. So basically, if you're not on social media, you need to get on it. You're missing out on some key resources to get clients. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Yelp, Periscope, Blogger, Instagram, Pinterest, email list, Gab, Google+, Snapchat, Quora. So these are all places, social media, and it's always changing. So you do want to have either somebody on your staff doing some research on this. Next one is do more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. Um, that's a hard one because when you work at a job, you know, what is good stuff, what is bad stuff? It sounds good, but in the reality of it is how do you pick what you're going to do? You can only really do this as if you have your own business and you're willing to pay people to do the bad stuff. Yeah, it's really slowing down. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we hit a little traffic jam. Yeah, so I know I'm a little obnoxious. You know, talking out loud, traffic jam. People hear you, and just they were moving too slowly. The fuck over. The next one I have is who knows about your product or service, which is a good question. Not many people. So if you know about it and you like it, please spread the word. Um, so it's hard. I mean, I guess if you have fame already, then you'll get people naturally want to follow you. And I actually have some stuff on that. So if no one knows about your product or service, you will definitely fail. A product or service that's not known will fail. It's guaranteed. So how do you overcome this issue? You have to do some marketing to your target audience. You need feedback as to why no one is using it. You don't have to hook everyone, just enough people to get the ball rolling. A business plan can help, but most important is to try to get people to use it. For me, I never made it a big goal of mine to get users. 80% of my time could be spent supporting users. I should allocate a portion of my time to making my ideas usable. I could start with a one-page description of the benefits and features of the product or service. If the product isn't for me, then I need to market, then build the idea to make sure that I'm not just wasting my time. Without marketing, you have no users. Without users, you have nothing. Next one I have, I'm not sure where I got this one from. Runaway imagination is a major source of stress. Not sure why. I guess you would imagine negative things happening, and so that could be stressful. I don't know. The next one I have, which I kind of like, focus on one thing per week or per month. So you might make a plan, like for example, this month I'm supposed to be cleaning. And it could pay to just pick a week and just focus on something, as opposed to, you know, never getting to what you want to accomplish. If you focus on something each week, that could be 52 things that you could accomplish if you really focus on getting it done. If you do it 2 weeks, you got 26 things done. Yeah, this is not a good place to walk at a certain hour, which is now 7 o'clock. I mean, it's okay to walk. It's nice if you're with people. You want to walk slowly. But for me, who's trying to get home, okay, so next one is a one-page guide to getting a job. Let's see what I wrote. So what I wrote is put together a resume, do the best you can, but don't let it prevent you from sending it out. Get someone to proofread it for you. Keep it to one page. Go to the job search websites and send out 10 resumes. And it's changed since I've done this, but it's I got Career Builder, Monster, Dice, and Craigslist. So that was the start of it. I didn't really get much to that, but I like the one-page idea. It just seems like if you have one page, and you kind of have to do this in Word, so see what you can fit on one page. And then if you really want to get fancy, you could go both sides, so it's one page front and back. And that's a one-page resume. I mean, if you have too much information, then I think people will get bored. Too complicated, too many details. But one of the keys is that who knows about your product or service. I've heard, what's the guy's name? There's a sales guy, Grant Cardone. I think that's his name. Or Grant Carbone. He wrote a book called, I think it's called like the 10X Rule or something like that. I thought it was a pretty good book. So I'd recommend that. I read it a long time ago. Next one. And I'm not sure where I got this one, but it says, before interacting with a senior member of your company, get some insights on them. It kind of sounds like a Jeff Gitmer thing. I mean, my interactions are just emails. Next one I have is you can't learn X from books. And I have X equals swim, program, walk, bike ride, roller skate, ice skate. So there are things you can't learn by reading a book. And you know for sure that swimming is one of them. You can't read a book on swimming and learn. You can't read a book on bike riding and learn. Not a physical thing. You can't read a book on shooting a basket and learn how to shoot baskets. I'm talking about basketball. So there are a lot of things in life that you cannot learn without doing. Programming and Excel is one of them. So one of the things that I think that halts everybody are habits. We get into habits. It feels safe, but because of it, we don't venture out. We don't try new things. And that includes me. So one good thing about randomness is that it forces you to try things that you wouldn't normally try. So I would even say go to Wikipedia and look up a random wiki page. See where it leads you. So I'm a big proponent of random. Yeah, so it's a problem is like, I mean, I have bought a lot of books, but learning isn't about, I guess in a way you can read a book. You just need to be organized more on, you know, reading the book, having a focus to finish what you're reading, doing the exercises, finding the time. So those are almost more important as that whole process of learning. And I've mentioned it before how I learned a language called Python, where at work I went out of my way every morning to work on it. So that's a possible method. Yeah, so a lot of times I might get a little quiet, and one reason is kind of behind people, so it feels like a little rude to be talking with them there. So next one I have is my failures and why. I, I should start. See, this is an example. It's like I can't even think of what they are, but I have been fired from jobs. Um, I've I've gotten divorced. Um, but again, I guess each one is a learning opportunity, as we said before. Okay, wow, I'm really tired. Fortunate to have water. I'm going to be very sore tomorrow, and hopefully I break 169. I'm walking. I'm actually leaving the High Line now. Whew. Yeah, my feet are hurting. So my failures and why? That's a hard one. I don't know. I guess in some way I feel like I failed on this job in some way. Uh, my current job. I would say another failure is I don't have that many friends. I have a couple of good friends, but I mean, at work I don't have a lot of friends. I even wrote down on Twitter to find ways to make friends on Twitter. Friends are important. It's hard to underestimate them. I mean, I have it's I guess a lot of males. Um, I don't know if it's just general statement. Don't have that many friends. So I am lonely sometimes. I mean, here I am, basically talking to myself out loud. I mean, even at home, I don't have a good set of ears for people to listen to me. I mean, I know my wife does a lot of stuff, but she goes her own way. My kids are doing their own thing. I'm kind of doing my own thing. So we don't really have any really good conversations. It's important to have good conversations. One problem is I think this whole, you've got to watch what you say to people. Like, for example, with Donald Trump. I mean, it really triggers people. And I, I guess I could see why. What other failures? I don't know if my diet is a failure. It's hard. It's hard, very hard to think about failures. So I have gotten laid off and fired from jobs. My first job, I worked for a small company, and we had every Friday we went out to this guy. His name was Marv's house, and we would, work from his house. I might even show what we did. Maybe I didn't do it that often. So we go to his house and meeting. I don't even remember. But one Friday I was supposed to talk to a new employee about some topic, and that Thursday night I had to work. I was like working on a problem, and I didn't have time to prepare. So in the morning I went in, and Marv said, "Al, you're gonna talk about XYZ," and I said, "Oh," I said, "Sorry, Marv, I didn't have a chance to prepare." And he said, "You're gonna do it anyway," and I said, "No, I'm not." And with that I got fired from a job. So it was this very small company, 6-person company. But again, I learned, it's funny how I failed at the stock market too. It's funny how failure teaches valuable lessons. And so you got to be out there to fail. And if you want to meet people, you want to meet a spouse, you got to ask people, you got to take chances, you got to go on dates. I mean, none of this is easy. Everybody finds, oh, this is, there's this one vent that's really cool, and just passed it on 30th Street. Yeah, so, failure is important. They don't want to fail, but you will learn valuable lessons. So I was going to say that I became more conscientious, I think, after I cared more. I didn't want to get fired again. Um, but what typically happens when you're at a job for a long time, things get easy, you relax a little bit. Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, I once almost got hit by a truck, but you could say that's a success, that I was almost run over, but not. I'm not really, I don't have anything, and it just doesn't feel good to talk about failures. It's a kind of nice block. Okay, next one. So, but anyway, you would want to think about how you failed in the past and what you can learn from it. Have you learned lessons from it? And that's one of the things I guess this book is for, is to find out ways I failed and see if I can correct them. Here comes a car. Wait, a cab. So it's later than I'd like. It's 7:20. Not sure what train I'm going to make. Probably 7:40 something. Yeah, so think about your failures. If you have any failures you want to discuss, and just please, leave a comment at it. But see if you can learn from it. What lessons? And maybe if it's a good lesson, I'll use it in the book. I would say a failure I had was when I was younger, I got hooked up with someone and didn't really love her, and kind of got married to her and then wound up getting divorced. So, I was afraid to reject somebody. So I think that's a very important lesson, that, in this life, to be happy, you got to be happy with who you're with. And if there's something that's bothering you, and again, I could say that, in reality, you will have to settle. Nobody out there is that perfect person for you. It's like houses. You buy a house, you go look for a house, and you'll find houses that are really big but have no property, or they're really nice and cheap but it's in a bad neighborhood. I mean, there's always a trade-off, and you got to find, and life's about trade-offs. You have to find the trade-offs you can live with. So funny enough, this woman who I dated for a very long time and got married, eventually left me, and it was painful. But you learn, and the lesson that sticks out of my mind the most was that I used to work a lot, and her complaint, and I would come home early on Mondays to play tennis with my brother, and I remember her saying that you would work so hard, and then you didn't have time to come home for work, but you had time to play tennis with your brother. So it's a lesson. If you have somebody that you want to be with, and again, maybe I didn't want to be with her. If you have somebody you want to be with, you got to make time for them. So I'm running out of stuff to say. I'm getting a little tired. You're probably bored. If you're still listening, good for you. You're a fan. I thank you. Thank you very much. If you like anything I say or want to hear more, please subscribe to this YouTube channel or the podcast. Please like it if you like what I'm talking about. I do appreciate it. Love to hear from you. I know sometimes you might think that the person behind here is not going to respond, but believe me, I'd be happy to respond to everybody. Anyway, this is Al Berg. Take care. Have a great, great day.